we're here talking about transparency, and you did talk about that in your opening remarks. And the chair and I both spoke last week at the Defense Intelligence Conference. And one of the concerns that I raised, because we talk about making sure Canadians understand the importance of our Canadian Armed Forces, the situation that we find ourselves in, how do we change public perception? And a lot of it comes down to the classification of information and the over-classification of that information. If Canadians are going to understand the threat environment, then we need to be more blunt with that information. And this committee, of course, does not have any security clearances. And so the information that is shared around this table, the information that is shared with the public, is limited and only through open source. Do you believe that there needs to be a change in how Canadian Armed Forces and Department of National Defence handles information so that we can make sure the public are on side with the expenditures, the investments, and the missions that we have to undertake to keep Canadians safe?
So, Mr. Chair, yes, I do agree that we need to continually evaluate how we classify information, and we need to have a mentality of, instead of need to know, a need to share. And this is an approach that we have discussed amongst our closest allies as well. Because often there's a tendency to compartmentalize information that would be better effective in sharing. So it's a question of balancing synchronization with security, understanding with security, and so we must continue to question. Are we overclassifying information? And the default position can't be to put secret Canadian eyes only on it. Now, going to the second piece of your remark. In fact, just 3 hours ago, I was talking to my UK counterpart about sharing information with parliamentarians. And I believe that this committee should be granted security classifications so that we could share with you in more detail some of the activities and intelligence and the like that are ongoing. That's a personal opinion, but I think the country would be better for it.
It's an opinion that I share and one that I've articulated on many times over the years that I've been on this committee. Richard Shimoka, who was at this committee, said that public understanding the military is at an all-time low and contributes to the lack of support. This is in part due to the lack of open information available and the adversarial relationship that is developed between government and outside bodies over access to information. So just to add to that, I think we actually have to make sure that ATIPs are happening in a more efficient manner. We know for a fact that my own ATIPs that have been submitted in the past, that some of them were outstanding over 5 years. I had 5 over 5 years, up to 7 years old. 4 of those have finally gotten acted upon because Bill Matthews and Bill Blair showed up at committee and heard the complaints, and now 4 out of 5 all of a sudden magically have been answered. Now, we also have heard from former serving and current serving members about the challenges they've had with everything from ATIPs and to the Military Grievance External Review Committee. The Information Commissioner herself, who is taking Department of National Defence and the Minister to court on 3 separate occasions, says the issues are the same and they haven't changed much. And she used to work at Military Grievance External Review Committee over 10 years ago. So have you had conversations with the Minister and the Deputy Minister or the needs to prioritize the information, as well as we knew that you don't have all the appointees sitting at the committee right now, that if you're going to be able to properly represent and stand up for our troops, that grievance committee has to be, 1, more quick to act, and 2, that there is a full slate of committee members?
So, Mr. Chair, two aspects. Firstly, on the ATIP piece, I agree we must do better. And there are a number of lines of effort that we are working on the department side as to how to speed things up, whether from a technological information management perspective or from a process personnel capacity perspective. And you asked about conversations. In fact, tomorrow at Defense Management Committee that is co-chaired between myself and the Deputy Minister, this is one of the agenda items where our Corporate Secretary will be briefing us on how we're going to make it better in the numerous lines of effort. On your question with respect to the committee, yes. We need to ensure they have the capacity, but we also need to make sure that we're giving them the right grievances to review as well, so we are not overwhelming them with grievances and ensuring that their much valued capacity is targeted at the highest payoff grievances.